Hello, I'm Shu Fang. Welcome back for Lesson 2, Week 12. During this lesson, we are going to discuss how to present our argument. As argument assumes controversy, and that we have to work especially hard to convince our readers of the validity of our position, there are different ways of argument. But it is difficult to identify which ways might be more effective concerning our particular topics. Let's take the example of animal testing in Lesson 1 again. After taking a stance on this controversial issue, we are supposed to find proper ways to support our viewpoints. Suppose our position is animal testing is necessary, but should be restricted. Now comes to the hard part. What methods can we use for more effective argumentation? Can we use some examples? Can we cite some data? Can we compare the advantages and disadvantages of animal testing? Can we cite the opinions of well-known philosophers or religious leaders? Or should we argue by a combination of these methods? The objectives of Lesson 2 will help answer these questions. They are, first, to understand various methods for presenting argumentation. Second, to be familiar with two commonly applied models of addressing opposing viewpoints. Let's read the following essay entitled, Should Animal Testing Be Banned? And try to answer the following questions. First, what is the issue discussed in this essay? Second, what are the controversial viewpoints surrounding the issue? Third, what is the author's thesis statement? Where does he put it? Fourth, what methods does the author use to present his argument? In this essay, the author discusses a controversial issue, animal testing. Concerning this issue, two controversial viewpoints are presented. One is about the necessity and morality of animal testing. The other one questions the necessity of animal testing and worries about the rights of tested animals. The author puts his thesis statement at the essay's end, which seems to be a compromise between the above-mentioned viewpoints. Animal testing seems unavoidable, but we must treat the tested animals in a more humane way. In order to develop his argument, the author uses the following methods. First, he compares the positive and negative aspects of animal testing. Second, he cites statistics from some organizations to make the reader aware that animal testing is very prevalent. Third, he gave examples of the fields where animal testing has been carried out. Fourth, the author also applies the cause and effect method of argumentation to explain why animal testing seems unavoidable. By a combined use of these various methods, the author easily comes to his conclusion. Having made an analysis of this sample essay, let's draw some conclusions about the various methods of argumentation. I won't explain the first four methods listed here, since I have just given a detailed explanation about their application in the sample essay. Let's start with the fifth method, chronological argumentation, which is a journal-style format, which progresses point by point, with details about each point given in the order in which it occurred. The next method is description argumentation, which is similar to the chronological argument structure, except that instead of systematically moving from the argument as it was presented as one moment to how it was presented at next moment, it is a point-by-point explanation of a place, person, or thing. In our own writing practice, it is not necessary to put all these methods into use. Instead, we can decide which way to argue according to different topics we are to discuss. How we accommodate different viewpoints is of vital importance to the success of our argumentation. Our willingness to consider opposing viewpoints will leave readers with the impression that we are fair-minded, which may increase their openness to our position. More importantly, we can prove that our own position is more valid by pointing out the limitations or weaknesses of opposing viewpoints. Now, here are two common strategies to address opposing viewpoint. Please read the following two essays and try to identify what strategy the author is using to address opposing viewpoints. In Essay 1, the author discusses the issue of public and private sponsorship of scientific research. In the introduction, the author first points out the importance of scientific research and then offers two opposing opinions about the sponsorship of scientific research. At the end of the instruction, the author presents his thesis statement. He disagrees with the notion of complete government sponsorship. Then, in the essay's main body, please look at the words in blue in this slide. The author first discusses reasons for why it is necessary for private businesses to carry out scientific research. Then, the author continues his discussion by pointing out the downsides of total control of scientific research by private businesses. In the end, the author arrives at a thoughtful compromise position, one which rejects a dominant role for the state's sponsorship of research. Have made an analysis of sample essay 1. We can form a clearer outline of this commonly used strategy of addressing two opposing viewpoints. Please look at the structure and pay attention to the sequence of argument and refutation. In sample essay 2, the author first introduced a supportive view of school choice and acknowledged its reasonableness by summarizing reasons in favor of it. Then the author points out the central flaw of school choice, which presents a major challenges to its proponents. He then puts forward his own viewpoints. It is worth noting that the author did not appear to make superficial judgments when introducing the opposing viewpoints. Instead, his summary seemed unbiased. Different from the classical model of argumentation in sample essay 1, we can clearly identify a different strategy of addressing the opposing viewpoints in sample essay 2, which is known as Rogering strategy. Let's look at the outline of a typical Rogering model of argumentation. First, we present the issue, then summarize the opposing arguments. Then we state our own points and discuss the reasons why the reader should accept our points. Before we finish lesson 2, let's make a brief summary of today's lesson. In this lesson, we have detected various methods of presenting argument. Meanwhile, we also discussed two models of addressing the opposing viewpoints. That's all for this lesson. Thanks for listening. Look forward to seeing you again.